Yee! I'm so excited to shoot this video. This is gonna be the second video for January, and that's already 2 videos for the month of January. We are proud of ourselves. I'm proud of myself. YouTube is a grind, y'all. Anyway, at the beginning of January, I told you my goals for 2024 and how I just wanted to make sure that I don't have like another stagnant 2023. 2023 for me was super low key, and though I do feel there was a purpose in it recalibrating my life and like kind of slowing me down, I'm not normally a hermit, which 2023 was a lot of that, and learning to just like kind of be low key. And I love it. And I love being in that place. But also, I'm an extrovert. And as an extrovert, most of my energy and my frequencies come from mingling and hanging out with people. I will say that now that I'm older and have matured a lot more, I guess when I say hang out, it's like more intentional. So that's the difference coming into 2024 is like when I do need that spark or that energy from other people, I tend to go to places like my third places, which I mentioned in the last video, that I know are going to be fulfilling, that are going to be genuine conversations of just like good ass people that I enjoy being around and that I frequent often at coffee shops, Butcher's Plate, which we just went to their grand opening.
Yo, I tell you, rest when I see you.
And as I mentioned in the previous video, one of my goals was to meet more creatives. Well, it just so happened to be that the second week or the first week, end of the first week of January, there was a creator meetup that I came across on Instagram. And I remember screenshotting it and like telling myself, like, I'm gonna wait and see how I feel on the day of. So remember how last week I was telling you my plans for, or my goals for 2024, and how one of them was to kind of put myself out there more and meet more creators. Well, there's actually a creator meetup today. I found out about this meetup through Instagram. One of my friends, shout out to Stephanie for posting and sharing other creators. But she posted about it, and this one's a little bit different because even though she posted, she's always supporting other creators, small business. But I actually don't know anybody going. I don't even know if Stephanie's going, but I felt like I was kind of gonna wait till today to see how I felt, because low-key I'm a little bit nervous about like going somewhere and not knowing anybody. And I know that this is not a feeling that just I have, you know. I know a lot of people share that same sentiment when it comes to trying new things. In the spirit of trying new things and just kind of going for it in 2024, we're gonna go. One thing I've learned from becoming a content creator is the okay with being uncomfortable. The quicker I'm okay with that feeling, just like, and embracing it, the quicker I get over it, and then I'm just like, boom, in a new place, learning more, meeting more people. And that's kind of just how I get over my hump. The minute I accept that feeling and I'm like, okay, right now I'm uncomfortable, I'm gonna push past this as best I can, as graceful as I can, and keep it pushing.
So I'm gonna pass it to Isel. We've been trying this whole morning she's trying to get the pronunciation down in Mexican. And I was like, don't worry. So you did perfect. Okay. Hola a todos. Thank you so much for being here this morning, afternoon. My name is Itzel, she, her, ella. First of all, thank you so much for being here. This, like, literally, I don't know if you guys remember the Grinch movie, but, like, when the heart gets bigger, like, that's me right now. Like, I'm so excited to see everyone here. As we know, most of us, I'm sure from San Diego, there's not a lot of events like this here. So I'm so excited. This room is so beautiful right now. Thank you for being here.
We just got done with that meetup. I am so happy I came. I cannot even begin to describe the way that event just like filled my cup. But leading up to it, I wasn't feeling that. Now that it's been like a couple weeks and I've had some time to reflect on, the entire experience, I think to myself like, damn, if I wouldn't have pushed past that feeling of discomfort or fear of like not knowing somebody, because I wasn't sure if I was going to know somebody when I went, but it was I guess that's what was giving me anxiety. And like, if I didn't know any better and I just allowed that thought to kind of like just consume my brain, I wouldn't have had the experience that I did. I wouldn't have like exchanged energies with these amazing people at this type of event. I know this is an isolated situation or experience, but really think about how many times you've stopped or completely disregarded, even if you don't like to admit it or not, but you literally just deaded everything you want, you crave, you are curious about because you allowed your internalized fears, imposter syndrome, whatever, just completely take over your mind. And don't get me wrong, I get a lot of those feelings even now that I've been creating for years. Those thoughts still cross my mind. I've learned to identify them, acknowledge them, and do the shit anyway. And I'm literally living proof that you can fumble your way through doing that thing that scares the shit out of you. I wouldn't be here without doing so. My inspiration for doing the things that I do is part of a bigger conversation that I'm trying to be part of, and that's representation and being involved in a non-conventional / traditional trade, especially being part of the LGBTQI community, a Latina raised by a single mom who knows nothing about social media and till this day probably doesn't really know what I really do for a living. Yet somehow I've been able to educate her on the things that actually bring me joy, because in her mind, when she was coming up here in the US with the language barrier, it was all about scarcity mindset with low ceilings, and all she needed to do was survive. And for a long time coming out of that, my ceiling was super low because my ceiling came from her ceiling, not realizing till now later in life that I don't need to foretake on that ceiling, that we can raise the roof and raise the ceiling and get to a higher bar because she already laid down the groundwork for me. And ultimately, I think even though a lot of her fear was like me being unstable and finding a creative job, at the end of the day, however you educate, I do think that we have to educate our parents to some extent. When you get to that point, it always has to come from a place of love, a place of understanding of like how that generation grew up, and being respectful at the same time, for them to like really understand that like ultimately like I'm just trying to find joy in the things that I'm going to spend my time with. And I think once she realized that, even though like I said, she doesn't know shit about social media or what I really do, she just knows I make videos. She knows that that makes me happy. And ultimately, I do think that at the end of the day, your parents just want you to be happy. Whether you have a single parent or both parents, whatever. Ultimately, they just want to know that their kid is happy. And I'm happy. And so I think the happiness that this gives me and I portray, no matter how much I'm fumbling my way through it, ultimately she sees me trying at something. And I think that shows more about what she's instilled in me. Grit, tenacity, and persistency to try to do something, even with all these hurdles in the way, because that's what I got from her. Like, those are the things that have been engraved in me that I took from my parent to be able to turn around and parent my parent to that extent when it comes to my career path. So if you find yourself in a similar situation, or you're just trying to overcome whatever your barriers are, old traditions, conventional ideas from people around you or people who surround you, just know I totally feel the struggle. I know where you're at, but also understand that those struggles are going to propel you when you get to that thing that you're chasing. Regardless, it doesn't have to be content creation. It doesn't have to be anything in the creative space, because most creatives are unconventional. Those same struggles really transform into your ultimate strength. And that's when you really stand in your power. And when you stand in your power and you're confident in your abilities and who you are as a person, and your energy is going to become so authentic and so contagious, people are going to crave to want to be around you. Even if they can't see it yet, trust your vision. Keep moving that needle, because you will get there with grit and consistency. Block out all the noise and stand on business in 2024. I would love to hear your thoughts on the topic about traditional, conventional. If you are going through something similar, I would love to hear how you're pushing through that. I'm rooting for everybody that looks like me, that has similar situations to me. I'll be rooting for you on the sidelines. Peace.